The more you learn about trading, the worse you actually get. And the problem is you think that you're improving. And this is a vicious loop because I was stuck here for a long time when I was just chasing strategies, strategy hopping, trying to learn as much as I could, thinking that that was the real work. So not giving my strategy enough time to actually build conviction and watch it play out. And so people are impatient, and that's why they keep switching strategies. They keep learning more because they're actually trying to just make money, and when the strategy takes a loss, they can't handle it. And so in this video, I'm going to go through the real reasons why this happens, why you're stuck in this loop, and how to break it, basically. Because there are things that you have to pay attention to and be aware of so that you can break the loop and just stick to your strategy and your plan and build conviction with it over time. So make sure you watch this to the end because this is going to be a good one. So basically, learning feels like progress. That's the thing. It feels good. When you learn something or when you discover a new indicator, a new strategy, or some new concept, you go, aha, that's what I need. That's what I'm missing. And then you dig into it. You buy the course or you join the Discord group and you join the community and you try to learn everything and you put hours into learning and backtesting this strategy only to flip-flop and change within a week or so. And then you restart the cycle. But the thing is, when you're adding new indicators or learning more, you also get a dopamine hit within your brain. It's neurochemistry. And so you have this release, this neurochemical release, and it's a dopamine hit. And so it's addictive to keep learning. And also, you keep learning because learning is how you cope with your losses. You see, nobody likes to take a loss. And in trading, you're going to take losses. You just have to become that best loser that wins. You see? And so learning is triggered from the fear of loss. And because you have that fear of loss or that fear of uncertainty or being wrong, you're going to seek out safety in trying to learn more. And it's also your ego. Your ego is trying to protect you. It's trying to protect who you are, your identity. And so it doesn't want to admit that the strategy failed because you FOMO'd. The strategy failed because you kept closing early. Or the strategy failed because you risked too much and you blew your account. So you forgot about risk management. So those are the other reasons why the strategy could have failed. Maybe it wasn't really the strategy. So you are in the moment and you're not thinking straight. And when you're not thinking straight because you're reacting from a sympathetic nervous system, everything goes blur. You're not making logical decisions in your trading and in your journey. So then you cope by learning more. And that is how the ego is trying to protect itself. Basically, learning is an emotional escape. And you have to understand this because a lot of traders will be stuck in this hustler loop, the level that I talked about in my other video, the hustler level where you think more strategies, more indicators, more courses, more videos, more mentors is the solution to your trading problem. And it might sound logical. That's the flip side. It actually sounds logical, like it would make total sense. But the problem is you're going to be overwhelmed. You're going to just confuse yourself and you're not going to be able to trust anything. And on top of that, you don't even trust yourself to stick to a single strategy that is nice and simple and works. So how do you build conviction? You're not going to because you keep switching. So the trap basically is the more indicators, more strategies, and more concepts. This is a way of, it feels like progress. It feels like you're adding more certainty. In actual fact, you're just looking for certainty in something that is not certain. And you need to understand this loop. The loop looks like this, the learning loop. You learn something, you try it, you lose, and then you doubt that it works because you took a loss. You see? And because you took a loss, you go back and you learn something else. And then maybe you're in a low vibration because you're doubtful and you've got negative thoughts in your head. You have this negative self-talk. You've convinced yourself that your strategy stinks. It's the only strategy in the world that doesn't work. You need to, the universe cursed you with a bad strategy. You're always unlucky. You see, these are childhood programs. These are your negative thought patterns bubbling up. They're affecting your decision making in your trading. And so you go and you learn something else, and obviously you get a dopamine hit, so it's addictive. So your nervous system and your body is getting a release from the dopamine hit and the face saving, the fact that you don't have to face your demons, that you don't have to work on your psychology, the fact that you don't have to face yourself and actually address the real reasons why you can't hold your trades, or why you close early, or why you risk too much, or why you move your stops. You see, those are the actual real reasons. Why do you FOMO? Why can't you wait for your setup? Why do you enter early? You see, all of these things are issues that are actually harder to deal with, harder to address, because it requires you to go inward. It requires you to look within. It's not anything to do with the strategy. And because it's so hard to be honest with yourself, to actually admit that you might have a trading addiction, or you might be an impulsive person, or you might be coming from scarcity and lack, so you need to take more trades, and then that's why you blow your accounts, because you keep, risking too much. And those are the tough questions that you have to ask yourself. Those are the adult questions. Those are the big boy questions, the grown-up questions that you need to really sit down and make that inventory and work through them. Because that's your trauma. That's your past haunting you and haunting your trades. And, God knows how many people have different issues from their past, and it's mirroring, it's coming out, it's reflecting in their trading results. You see? And this is the problem. So you're on Instagram, you're feeling low, you're feeling bad with yourself, and you're feeling like you need to compensate and be productive. So you hop on Instagram or on YouTube Reels or YouTube Shorts, and you start looking and scrolling through random strategies and whatever looks nice, whatever caught your attention within the first 2-3 seconds, you see. And then you chase the next shiny object out of desperation. You're basically desperate because you're in survival state. You see, you're not really learning, you're just looping. And there's this concept called metacognition I want to talk about. I want you to learn about this. Metacognition is actually the highest form of intelligence. Metacognition is the ability to be aware of your own thoughts and to be aware of your reactions, why you are reacting, and be aware of the triggers in your environment. Once you can have a decent amount of metacognition and this kind of self-awareness, you become almost superior. Like you have this, because most people are just rushing through life completely unaware, and they don't know why they get triggered. They don't know why they react. Somebody cuts them off in the traffic and they go nuts. They don't know why. Their wife or the girlfriend says something and they flip. They lose the plot. And some people react so strongly to triggers that it puts them in jail. You get so angry you might shoot somebody. You see, that is all emotional reaction, uncontrollable emotional reaction. It's basically why you're reacting. So then once you can see, like you'll start to see patterns and why things trigger you and why you react to things, why you FOMO into trades, why you get scared and move your stops. You see, if you had the metacognition to understand that and realize that, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't move your stops. You would be able to hold your trades. You see, but then most people are just trading and they don't have this awareness, and all of a sudden they can't take care of, they can't handle being in profit, so they close. But in fact, they're just scared of losing it because they've come from a loss previously and they don't want to repeat that pain. You see, so psychology is important. Self-awareness is important. And you need to just really understand this, because if you are trying to be a trader, you have to operate at the highest level, and that is the highest level of thinking and self-awareness. That is the secret. So metacognition, look into it. Your body, most of the time, most people are naturally, their default state is survival mode. They've been doing it for many years. The news has trained them, the school, the matrix, all the fear on the news, or they're worried about the bills, or this or that, or they don't trust this person, they don't trust that person. They are on constant alert, constant survival mode. And that leaks. It leaks into your trading. That's the thing. So when it leaks into your trading and you're in survival mode, your nervous system and your ego and your subconscious mind, it hates to lose. Nobody likes to lose, right? It makes sense. Nobody likes to lose. That's why you have to be the best loser to win. The irony. You're a professional loser. That's what you have to be. And it hates uncertainty. When you're in survival mode, the main thing of being in survival mode is to be certain of a certain outcome. You got to know that you're going to make it. You got to know that you can swim to the other side of the shore. You got to be sure that you're not going to drown. You got to make sure that you get to where you're going. You got to be sure that this trade wins. It can't be any other way. You have to have certainty, and that's the way your reactive body is. Your nervous system is like that. It wants certainty and it wants to feel safe. It hates to feel loss. You see, it's basically designed that way by nature to keep you safe. And it worked really well back in the caveman days, in the jungle days, when you were in the wild. It worked. But in modern life, in modern society, there's so many things that triggers you that are not even real. You're fearful of everything that's not even real. It's all in your head. You're scared of everything, including your own trades. You're scared to take a loss. You're scared of uncertainty. And that is how you know that you're in survival mode. You're trading from survival. And so when you're in survival mode, logic switches off. Nothing makes sense. You make stupid mistakes. You make decisions and you say things and you react in ways where you wouldn't have normally done it. And then you don't even know why. You might even open the chart and forget what your setup looks like because you're in the survival state. You can't even think clear. You have no clarity. That's the problem. So imagine being in survival state, and now you add more strategies, you add more indicators, you have more trading concepts. Now your chart looks like a Christmas tree, and now you don't know what to believe. You don't know what system to trust. You have everything contradicting. One says buy, the other one says sell. What is it? That's why you hesitate. You hesitate because you've overcomplicated your system. You've overcomplicated your process to a point where you freeze. You don't know what to do because now you've basically allowed your nervous system, again, metacognition, to trick you into piling a million things onto your chart. You got to understand that there are a trillion ways to trade. You could learn 10 strategies a day for the next 100 years and you still wouldn't even be done. That's the thing. So you're now confused and you're overwhelmed and you're hesitated on a trade. You can't even pull the trigger anymore. That's why learning more makes you worse. And you have to just trust that you know enough. If you've been doing trading, if you've been learning trading for 3, 4, 5 years, I guarantee you, you know enough. Actually, you can learn trading in a couple of months and be done, you see? But it's the loop. Because you're stuck in the loop of learning, it drags on for years. And you don't have the metacognition to have the self-awareness and break that loop. You see what I mean? And when you can't break the loop, you just keep looping. You just keep going around in the loop. So you add more information, more stuff to yourself, to your chart. You add more to your chart to try and feel safe. This is how survival mode works. This is the way your body copes. This is your coping mechanism. And you see, you got to understand that it's not a lack of knowledge. I bet every dollar I got that you know enough. You know more than enough. You know, if you're already watching these types of videos on trading psychology, you're past the strategy section. You want to get to the psychology. You want to know why you keep switching strategies. You want to know why you don't trust your process. You want to get to the root of your psychology and you want to understand your reactions, what's causing it. This is the level up. This is now the elite level thinking. This is high level thinking now. You're not thinking like at the beginner level. You see, you're now putting on the CEO brain. But really, it's not a lack of knowledge that's the problem. It's a lack of clarity under pressure. You see, how to stay calm, clear, and collected when you're under pressure, when the heat is on, if that is even real. When there's pressure in the market and price is moving fast or moving against you, and there's a million things happening at once, and Trump is tweeting a million times on his social media, and there's war, and there's this and that, and then you got the kids to take care of, and then you got the wife, and you got this. That is pressure, right? And you don't have a supportive spouse, that's more pressure. You see, or you're trying to pass the challenge, that's more pressure, or you're in a drawdown, that's more pressure. So it's a lack of clarity under pressure. And the lack of clarity is quite simple. The lack of clarity is from survival mode. Because you're in survival mode, the sympathetic nervous system is on. It's been activated. It's probably activated most of the time. That's why you're not clear about anything. But because it's been activated, nothing makes sense. There's no logic. You don't know what to do. You're just there like a smudge ball. You see? You don't know what to do. You're confused. You're hesitating. You're all over the place. You're overwhelmed. So how do you get clear? You got to regulate. You have to regulate your nervous system. You need to know how to do it on the go. I talked about this in several other videos. You can do breathing exercises. You can go running. You can go down and do 20 push-ups, do pull-ups, do burpees, do jumping jacks, do anything that you want to do to get your blood flowing and your body moving, because motion creates emotion. Go take a cold shower. Go have a sauna. Go have an ice bath. Splash water on your face. Those are going to snap you out of survival mode, and it's going to bring you back to the present moment to refocus. You got to be able to refocus on the go. And you can't refocus on the go if you're missing the metacognition, the self-awareness. If you don't know your chest is tight, if you don't know your shoulders are tense, if you don't even know that your breathing is shallow, what hope do you have? Metacognition includes that. It's this total self-awareness. Total self-awareness and understanding of your biology and your body and your reactions and all the triggers. You need to be journaling your triggers. You need to know what triggers you in life, in your relationships, in your trading. You need to know everything. That is how you master your reality. That's how you shift your identity. That's how you take back control. You see, you're unbothered. A loss doesn't bother you. Whatever kind of loss, a loss in trading, a loss in business, nothing bothers you. You are unfazed. You're dangerous now. Nothing can trigger you. Does that make sense? That is the person you have to be. Clarity under pressure isn't a strategy problem. It's a nervous system and psychological problem. Let me say that again. It's your nervous system and your psychology, and it's also your subconscious programming. They all go together. They all have to work together. Of course, you need to have conviction in your strategy. How do you have conviction in your strategy if you're always changing your strategy? You don't stick to it long enough to build conviction, and you only get conviction by seeing it working enough times and believing that it works, so that you take a loss and you go, well, that's okay. The next one should be a win. You see? So that is important. You see, here's the thing. When you have more information, more knowledge, it's actually fake control. Let me say that again. It's fake control. But when you look at the market is 100% uncertain. So you are dealing with something that is uncertain, trading, and you're trying to control something that you can't control. So then obviously you're going to have an internal conflict. And then you lose your way. You don't know where to go because you have this internal conflict. You lose your way. You don't know where to go. The only thing you know to do is to keep learning, learn more. Go watch another video. Go doom scroll for another day. And, see the next best strategy. Find that next shiny object, and then you repeat the loop. So how do you fix it? How do you fix it? You need to control your emotions. You really have to learn to control your emotions through the self-awareness, metacognition. Aware of your emotions. Why are you feeling scared? Why are you fearful of a loss? Why don't you want to take a loss? Where is that fear coming from? That is the actual question you want to learn or figure out. Are you scared to be wrong because you were always taught to be right as a kid? Did you ever think about that? Or are you scared of pain? The pain of the loss because it hurts. You see, how do you fix it on a trading way is you risk a small amount in percentage, not a small amount in trading, but a small percentage amount of your entire account. Maybe 0.5%, maybe 1%. Risk that small amount so that you don't care if it goes wrong. You see, if you cannot take a trade and close it and close the computer and walk away and not care if you lose, if you can't do that, it's simply because you're risking too much. Too much. You have such a big position, you can't even eat. You have such a big position, you can't even go to sleep. So you have to make peace with your risk. You don't start the trading day saying you're going to make money. You start the trading day saying, I'm okay to lose this. If I lose this, it's not going to destroy me. It's not going to send me crazy. It's not going to make me strategy hop. That is the metacognition. That is self-awareness. You need to master trading psychology. Whoever says trading psychology is not important, good luck. You need to know why you think the way you think. You need to understand how you arrived at a decision, how you reacted to a situation. You see? You need to understand why you FOMO, why you can't stop looking at the chart, why you obsessively look at the chart after you took in the trade. Why are you still hanging around? Because you want control? Because you want certainty? See, that's psychology. That's not strategy. You need to understand why you revenge trade when you take a loss. Because your ego is hurt and you're trying to fix. Now you're emotional, you're not going to make any good decisions. So psychology is important, especially in trading. It's mostly mindset. I would say it's 99% mindset. Believe it or not. And you need to regulate your nervous system. I told you before, you can get moving, running, burpees, push-ups, showers, cold showers, ice baths. Go to the gym, go for a run, just get moving to regulate yourself. That's going to help you. And you build trust and conviction in your strategy by doing it enough times. And also, I don't even call it backtesting. I call it practice. You shouldn't be backtesting something you know that works. You should be practicing something that works. There's a big difference there. How many hours of practice did you do today? How many hours of practice on your strategy have you done this week or this month? Because that's going to make all the difference. You think when Michael Jordan goes and practice shooting hoops, he's backtesting his strategy on how to do a layup? Probably not. He is just perfecting one shot. Same with Tiger Woods. Hits 1,000 balls a day. He's perfecting the swing. Muscle memory. Muscle memory in sports, but in trading, we call it pattern recognition. You see it enough times, you have conviction, you're not confused. You have pattern recognition, you know and you believe and you know your setup. You know what you're looking at and you're not lost in the charts. You're not buying when you should be selling. That is pattern recognition, and you only get pattern recognition from repetition. So it's not backtesting. If you're backtesting, you're trying new things all the time. You're backtesting, you're trying and you're doing this, you're the learning loop. You see? You're backtesting because that looked good, this looked good, maybe you can add this, add that, and try this, try that. You're constantly backtesting, you're going to get nowhere. You practice one thing, one thing only. You're coping with a loss and you're trying to make up for a loss, so you want to fix it. So then you're trading from your ego. And it's hard. It's really hard. And one trade per day is going to give you time to reflect on the setup. It's going to give you time to journal your trade. It's going to give you time to sit down and write out why that trade worked and why it didn't work and what can you learn from it. That is what one trade's going to do per day. Versus doing 10 trades in a session, you're not going to record any of them. And you're going to be so exhausted and overwhelmed, and you be in a negative and a loss, you're going to come out blank, that you're just going to want to shut down everything and go to bed, if you can even sleep. You see? The other thing you can do is you can lock your charts. You take a trade and you lock it. You lock your platform and walk away. Go spend time with the people that matter in your life. Go spend time outdoors. Go do the lifestyle stuff. Go live your life. Don't make trading the be-all and be-all and end-all of your life. Don't put trading on a pedestal. The best traders, trading, if anything, makes up maybe 20% of their entire day or their entire week. The rest of the week, they're waiting like a sniper, like a wolf, like a patient person. That is the discipline, in the waiting, not FOMOing and taking trades because you're bored, or just trying to learn new strategies because they look good. You see? Don't put trading on a pedestal. Use it as a vehicle. That's it. That's all you need to do. And journal your thoughts. You can journal your thoughts. If you can journal your thoughts, like why you think you overreacted, why do you think you FOMO'd, why do you think you moved your stops, why couldn't you hold your profits, you were in profits and you closed early and then it kept going in your direction, or why you messed up, or why it went well. Journal your thoughts and you're going to learn about yourself. That's the hard part. That's the self-work. That's the internal work. That's the deep work. See, that is the self-mastery. And when you journal and write things out, you're going to figure things out. You're going to see your patterns. You're going to understand your triggers. You can't fix what you can't measure. You can't measure if you don't journal. You see? And I'm not talking about your technical, I'm talking about your emotions. If the emotions and your mindset is more important than the strategy, then you should be putting time in and journaling your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts. That's how you level up. You see, execution, the way you execute is more important than your strategy. And that is the reason why I built the Inner Edge Pro. And it rewires the way you perform and the way you react under pressure so that you can make better decisions, so you're not messing up all the time. Inside the course, we can fix the fear of loss, overtrading, urgency, FOMO, hesitation, all of these things. We have modules for this to clear this. These are negative patterns that keep repeating, and until you reprogram and delete those patterns, they're going to keep repeating, and then you're always going to be stuck in the loop. The Inner Edge Pro basically fixes the part of you that sabotages your trades. It doesn't fix your strategy. It fixes the person executing the strategy. You'll be able to learn to control yourself when it matters the most. So that's the first link in the description if that's what you want to do. If you want to go deeper, check it out. If you're new to the channel, go ahead, like, subscribe, drop your comments below. Let me know what you're struggling with. And until the next video, you're on your own. Take care now. Goodbye.